What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another boxinthecorner.net video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Shining Maiden, a game I came across recently that I thought could use a little extra love, a little extra exposure, and as a matter of fact I thought it could use an entire written guide as well as video guide, in which I will be showing you today. Now, as always, with all of my content on my YouTube channel, there are timestamps listed in the video description below, so please feel free to use them, as well as hover over the video and look at the search and seek bar. You will go ahead and see those timestamps on that particular bar as well, and that way you can go ahead and jump to a topic that interests you. You don't have to sit here and watch the entire video if you do not want to, but I welcome you to go ahead and do that, because I will cover a lot of stuff that you may not see on this little lovely document that I'm about to pop up on the screen right now, and that's this right here. So I decided to take the time out of my day, my week actually, and write this extensive written guide for Shining Maiden, because like I said, there's not much of a community around this game, which I think is a little bit of a shame. I'm having a lot of fun with this game. I wouldn't call it my main game, but it is my side game at the moment, and I just wanted to consolidate a lot of information that I have picked up around the web, as well as interject my own experiences so far with a new account. And I wanted to make a newbie / quick start guide for those out there who might be interested in the game, but they are a little bit gun shy because, like I said, there's no consolidated English community, so they don't really know where to start, and they're a little bit intimidated by all the different mechanics that this game happens to have. Okay, so I went ahead and did that. You can go ahead and access this guide at any time. I'm going to go make it a shareable public link. You can find it in the video description of this YouTube video, but you're more than welcome to copy it and share it anywhere else. I already have credits baked into the document, so don't worry about crediting me. As you can see right there, it says boxinthecorner.net, my YouTube channel, as well as my email address, should for whatever reason people need to contact me. So like I said, if you're an owner of a Discord or Reddit or whatever and you want to go and share the guide, you're more than welcome to do so. Go ahead and copy that same link that is in the YouTube video description. Now, for the rest of you out there who are watching this video right now, if you're just here for the written guide, you just want that guide that I wrote, go ahead and open it up, go ahead and save it, do whatever you want with it, and go ahead and leave a thumbs up and subscribe on the channel if you can, because that would help me out in terms of optics. All right, and then be on your way. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you find it useful. And if you have any other questions, feel free to come back on the YouTube channel, leave a question in the comments, and I'll try my best to answer them. Okay, I'm here to help you. However, for the rest of you folks out there, I know that you are audio-visual learners. And why do I know that? Because you're watching this video and you're still listening to me talk right now, even though there's an entire written guide that I have written for you and linked in the YouTube video description, okay? I know for those folks out there that they need to learn in a more interactive way, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in today's video. But I do welcome you to go ahead and open the guide and kind of move it on the side, or if you're really old school like me, go ahead and print it out and follow along, because I will be using the guide as a framework for this video, but I will be adding a lot of extra small details as well as nuances that I didn't put in the written guide, because obviously talking is different, and I'm not going to sit there and write every single little thing that I need to mention in the written portion of the guide, because that one has to be abridged for the folks that like that stuff, okay? So in any case, I'm going to go and remove this from the screen right now, because it's going to go bye-bye, but it's always going to be there in that link. And I will update it as necessary if popularity demands it, okay? In other words, if a lot of people ask me to update it, I will update it. But as it stands, it is what it is, final version. Okay, so let's go and actually bring up the game window right here. And let's go ahead and get started. So first, with introductions. Who is this guide for? Okay. This guide is for two specific audiences. First and foremost, if you just started the game a day ago, 2 days ago, or maybe you're in the first week of starting this game and you're a little bit frustrated because there aren't that many resources for it, at least in English, like there isn't a wiki, there isn't a community that's very large and dedicated to the game. That's exactly what this guide is for. I wanted to consolidate information that I found as well as my own experiences so that you can avoid frustration, okay? This guide is not meant for me to tell you how to play the game. It's not meant for me to order you on how to play the game. I just want you to avoid the pitfalls of a new player that I went through, and that's that, okay? How you enjoy the game is up to you. I pass no judgment. I'm not suggesting anything else other than avoid certain things so then you don't get frustrated. And these frustrations are universal. You're just going to have to trust me on that. The second audience that this guide might be useful for are the window shoppers. And what do I mean by that? if you're curious about this game, you might have heard about it, you might have read about it somewhere, you might have seen some screenshots, but you weren't exactly sure if you wanted to play the game. Well, that's where the written and this video comes in handy, because you might want to see all the little details and nuances that have to go into playing the game and being successful in it. And it might not be your cup of tea, in which I say thanks for stopping by anyway. Don't forget that like or subscribe button, because I do cover other content. I'm going to be going hard on that this year, okay, in 2021. But in any case, if you do like what you see, then you can go ahead and refer to the guide and, of course, download the game and play it and enjoy it, okay? So that's the two main audiences that I decided to make this particular video and the written guide for. If you're a veteran Shining Maiden player, I welcome you to watch the video anyway, but there's probably nothing here that you already don't know. But I also do welcome you to give me advice as well. I always try to be a student and not like a perpetual teacher, because I feel that people who do that kind of sometimes, get lost in their ways. What I'm trying to get at is that I'm also learning with you guys as well. I'm always learning new stuff, and if I find anything that's game-changing, literally like dramatically game-changing, I'll go and put that in the guide in the last section, kind of like the addendum, to let you guys know that, hey, I came across something that's really cool. You guys should know that as well. Okay, so like I said, if you're a Shining Maiden veteran and you have some really cool information to share my way, let me know in the YouTube comments, right? I would love to know and share with everyone else. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. If you have the written guide next to you, we're going to go ahead and cover basic game mechanics right now. We're going to go ahead and start off with the resources in the game, namely and chiefly Comet and Meteor, because let's go ahead and get it out of the way early. So Comet is this little rainbow looking like resource on the top right here. It's pretty self-explanatory what it does. I'm going to go and click on it. There's my mouse cursor. There we go. So Comet is the game's premium currency. Okay, there's two types of currencies in this game, premium and freemium. What I mean by premium currency is that you can only get this currency if you actually pay real money with it. Okay, so it's kind of self-explanatory. Now, in the current version of this game, of Shining Maiden, okay, because this is the English version, there are other versions out there. This one, Comet isn't really used for much, as far as I can tell, other than summoning, as well as resetting maidens. Okay, I'll talk about resetting maidens in a bit, but that's pretty much it. So if you really, really want to summon units, exclusive unit banners, etc., stuff like that, go ahead and get yourself some Comet. If you feel like you really want to reset maidens, like I said, I'll talk about that in a little bit, then get yourself some Comet. Other than that, not really an interesting premium currency, to be honest with you guys. So I just kind of want to go ahead and move on, okay? You can obviously see I have 0 anyway, so I don't really have much stakes talking about it. Moving on to Meteor, which is this blue rock looking like thing right here, and I see on my screen 41,185. Let's go and click on that. Come on. There we go. So Meteor is the game's freemium currency. You can do a lot of stuff with this in the game. Chiefly, you can go and convert it to more useful stuff. I'll talk about that in just a moment. You can also convert Comet to Meteor, which I think is a complete waste, especially considering it goes at a 1-to-1 ratio, so I highly suggest you do not do that. But of course, if you have the money to do so, hey, you play the game, you do you, all right? Now, I want to say that at first, when you start the game, you are going to have quite a bit of Meteor. Okay, so I have 41,185 Meteor. I want to let you guys know on this particular account, because I have 2 accounts. Another account is a tester account. This is my quote-unquote main account. I have saved as much Meteor as I humanly and possibly can. And I've only played the game for 9 days. This account is only 9 days old. So I have 41,185 Meteor in a span of 9 days. Seems pretty impressive, but I'll let you know that most of this comes from achievements, not day-to-day activities and not necessarily weekly activities, okay? So you're still going to get a good flow of Meteor into your account, but it's not going to come free and fast as it does when you start off the game, basically while you're in the honeymoon phase. So I highly advise you be a little bit stingy with this as much as possible. Do not use it, and I personally recommend you save it for stamina. Okay, so in my guide, I make a little diagram talking about Meteor to stamina to every game resource. Let's go and talk about that right now briefly and jump over to stamina. Now, stamina is the lifeblood of this game because it's a very grind-heavy game. Let's go and open up this little window. And as you can see in front of me, you can convert 100 Meteor to 90 stamina, which is a pretty decent conversion rate. Like I said, stamina is the key to everything in this game. And that's why I suggest newer players to try and hoard their Meteor, because stamina will mostly get you everything you want in this game, and that even kind of includes units, okay? I'll talk about the crafting system in a little bit, which allows you basically to make units, make maidens in this game. But instead of wasting that meteor summoning and pulling, unless you absolutely need to, or unless there's a unit that you absolutely are dying to get, I would highly suggest you just be conservative with the meteor and save it for stamina, because you need to grind a lot in this game to get anywhere meaningful. Okay, I answer this at the end of my guide in the frequently asked questions. I'm telling you right now at the beginning of this guide and this video, you're going to have to grind your eyes out. You're going to have to grind your fingers out. You're going to grind something off of your body. It's going to become bloody and bruised, because that's the amount of grinding you're going to need to do in this game to get anywhere you want to get to, or upper level, and that requires stamina. And I can tell you right now that when you're a new player, this is abundant. You're going to be like, well, I'm swimming in stamina. There's so much stamina. In reality, it's actually going to get pretty limited as you go on to the more advanced stages, and then you're going to find out that you use it up pretty quickly as time goes on, especially when your team becomes more efficient. Okay, you have an efficient team and you have a high stamina cost stage. You put those two together, stamina runs away like water out of a bucket. Okay, I'm not sure where that analogy came from, but there you go. Okay, so because this converts into numerous resources, and let me go and show you this right now. Let's go and enter the world map just for a moment. Okay, let me go click on something random. I don't know. Let's go in the 2 map here, and let's go and leave on the master map. So 2-2 hard mode. Okay, 2-2 master. See all these resources where my bright, obscenely neon pink arrow is pointing at? See all those resources that can farm from this particular map? Every single map in this game, depending on its difficulty and depending on where it's located at, will drop a different set of resources. Okay, obviously most zones drop the same resources, but easier maps and harder maps will sometimes change and give you an additional resource depending on the difficulty level, depending on the context. Okay, so all of these resources are going to drop on this particular map, but let's say, for example, I'm looking for crests, right? Alliance crest, basically school emblems or whatever you want to go and call it. And this was for the Volstock seal. Okay, I guess they're called seal. I call them crest because they look like a little crest. And in order to farm for these, I'm going to need to fight this particular boss stage. Okay, what does this require? This requires a team that can handle the boss, and this requires stamina. You guessed it. Okay, it's going to cost me 5 stamina to do this stage, and that's for one particular run. Okay, now if I went back to the master mode, you notice that stamina requirement for this stage is 8. Okay, so it's a significant jump in stamina cost. All right, and as I mentioned, as your team becomes stronger and more efficient, they will finish the stage quicker because they kill the enemies quicker, and your stamina is going to drain very, very quickly. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. Please try to conserve as much meteor as possible, because you're going to need a lot of it to convert to stamina. Okay, and stamina converts to almost every other resource in this game as long as you've unlocked that map. Okay, if you unlock that map, you can grind that map. If you can grind that map, you can get that resource. Okay. All right, the most important information in this entire guide is that factoid. All right. Okay, let's go and move on to gold, because I think I already did stamina justice. Let's go and talk about gold. Now, gold is somewhat of a kind of trap in this game. In most gacha games out there, gold is usually plentiful, or, you know, whatever currency that they use. But in this particular game, it kind of gets you as a new player, and it actually got me so bad that I had to make a new account and abandon my tester account. And that is because you need a ton of gold to a ridiculous level in this game when you're starting out, especially when you're trying to equip your main team. Okay, I'll talk about main teams or pushing teams in a moment, but the amount of gold that you need is staggering to get your team up to anywhere decent, and that caught me off guard as a new player. It's going to catch you off guard as a new player as well. So if you've been wasting gold willy-nilly and just been buying everything and just, you know, randomly wasting gold, there's a good chance you might want to re-roll. I seriously tell you that. Okay, if you spend over like 1 million gold on nonsense or 2 million gold on nonsense, you might want to re-roll. Okay, because you're going to need that gold, and it's going to be very hard to get it back. Okay, like I said, once the honeymoon phase is over, once all the free gifts are over, and people aren't, the game is not just giving you gold just for doing random stuff. You're just going to have to grind for it the very old-fashioned way, which is by stages, and you're going to notice that it trickles in, and you're going to need obscene amounts of it, right? So let me go and show you why you need obscene amounts of it, all right? Now, in the written guide, I showed you a couple of pictures of equipment. That's exactly where we're going over to. Go and click on Erica. I'm going to go and move forward in my notes right here. Go and click on the little equipment banner right here. All right, you'll notice that Erica right now, my current Erica, has plus 20 sword and plus 20 gauntlets or greaves, whatever you want to call that. Okay, I have two, both a prefix and a suffix on it. And yeah, how did I get here? Well, if you click on one of these two buttons right here, you can go into this little interface that will go ahead and allow you to enhance that particular weapon, okay? And I can tell you right now, this gets expensive very, very quickly. Now, in the written guide, I showed a picture of a piece of equipment that cost 514,200 gold just to get from plus 10 to plus 20. That's not plus 0 to plus 10. That's plus 10 to plus 20. So that 10 additional levels cost 514,200 gold. Let that sink into your mind just for a moment. Okay? That is for only 10 levels for one piece of equipment. Okay? So you got to multiply that by 2 if you want both pieces of equipment to have that. Okay? And you'll notice right here that my sword on Erica has the prefix and the suffix. I don't even have the prefix and the suffix on her gauntlet. Okay, and why is this? Well, let's go and find out. Let's go and click on the little enchant button right here. Okay, so if I decided to put some enchantments on her gauntlet, let's go and click on unspecified. Okay, just for the heck of it. If you see this little resource right here, these are basically enchantment cubes. If I go all the way up to 100% probability, which you should be doing, by the way, do not go any less. I'll talk about that in just a moment. You'll notice that their gold cost for this to add this particular enchantment is 325,500 gold for a single enchantment. This is just the prefix. This is not the suffix. Okay, so I'm going to have to double this amount if I want to go ahead and add a suffix to the weapon as well. Okay, and on my quick math, that's 650,000 gold to add a prefix and a suffix to one piece of equipment. So if you double that, that's like 13 million or 12,500,000. My quick math is bad. I apologize. Just to add a prefix and a suffix to your equipment for one character. Okay, one single character. Are you getting all of this? Okay, for their gear. And I haven't even started plus 20 to plus 30 yet, right? Because you can actually go up to plus 30 if you promote them, etc. Stuff like that. I'll talk about it in just a moment. So gold in this game quickly becomes a obscene bottleneck, and it is going to be one of the things that you're going to be chasing in order to make your units stronger. Okay, and you have to remember all of these gold costs are for every single unit, and unfortunately there's a little bit of an imbalance because rare units, to off the top of my head, still cost the same in terms of equipment enhancing, just as much as SR, just as much as SSR units. So it doesn't really make any sense to upgrade R units unless you're really going to use them and you like them thematically, or you want to use them for whatever other reason in the long run. But just to give you an idea, there's so much gold that you need, it's kind of ridiculous. Okay. Now I am going to assume that you understand that you need to make a primary team which consists of 4 units, but there are other units that you can use as well in other game modes. All right. Whatever the case may be, if you want to go above and beyond your 4 main units and you want to equip all your other units with gear, that's even more gold, that's even more expense. You can quickly see where I'm going with this. Gold is a gigantic bottleneck for a new player and even to like a mid-game player. Okay, so please save it, please conserve it, do not waste it nilly-willy, and do not waste it on a newbie trap, which I will talk about later, which happens to be the shop. Okay, the shop is where you can buy stuff with gold. It's a complete trap. You should be using that gold to go and enhance equipment because this actually has long-term value. You can actually get something out of it, whereas the shop, you have a bunch of overpriced crap anyway. Okay, all right, good, got it, great. Let's go and move on in the written guide. So I now will start to talk about total power, promotion, awakening, and your actual party. So let's go and talk about total power. So Erica right here has a total power of 26,001, one little extra digit here right there. What exactly does this mean? What does attack ability, defense ability, and critical ability mean? Now, the game actually has a built-in help menu. You can go and click on this little question mark right here. Okay, it's on the upper left of most windows in the game. If you click on that, you're going to bring up this little helpful guide that gives you all the nuances of stats. I will not go over this because it would take me like an hour to do so, and why bother because they already have it in the game. And this will go over every little, like I said, detail and nuance in the game and give you further information. Okay, so if you want those details, you can go ahead and click on that little question mark and then read it to yourself. Then Bob's your uncle. Everything else will kind of fall into place. What I can tell you is that total power is basically the game's internal calculator, judging how many resources you've put into this particular character, and then they derive a number from it. What that means is that The more you level up a character, you're going to be putting gold into her. The more you promote her or awaken her, you're going to put certain resources into her, okay? And the game calculates a net value of all of these resources that you put in, and then they, burp it out as total power, okay? This metric is kind of arbitrary and also kind of is not. The reason being is that there are some rare instances in the game where you will auto-resolve a battle. And if you auto-resolve a battle, all the game looks at is the total power of your combined team. They don't actually care about the skills or abilities or the nuances of the particular character. And why do I bring this up? So if, for example, I had a equivalent character. So let's go and click on my level 54 Charles here. Her total power is 18,712. I can tell you right now a SSR unit that has 18,712 power would be much stronger than her and much more useful than her, because she's an R ranked unit. Her skills are not really that good. They don't scale that well, okay, because she's basically a common unit. In auto resolve, the game does not care. It just doesn't, if that makes any sense to you, okay? So if you have a total team of R units and they have a pretty significant total power, let's say she had 20,000 power, if you fought against another team which were all SSRs, but let's say they had 10,000 or 15,000 power less than you, if you fought it out manually, you actually probably would lose. Because their skills are much better than our skills, if that makes sense to you. But if you're auto-resolving, the game doesn't care. It's like, oh, well, you got 90,000, the other chump has 75,000. You win. Go ahead. We give you the victory. Okay? So that's what total power is about, just in case you are curious. Like I said, if you want the finer nuances about it, go and click on that question mark, and the game will talk about stats, etc., and how it does things. But that's basically what total power is, if you're wondering, and if it's actually important or if it's just an arbitrary number. It is important to a degree whenever the game requires you to do auto-resolve. Okay? So let's go and move on to promotion, because that's what I put in my guide. Now, promotion is a pretty interesting mechanic, in that it unlocks a lot of stuff for that particular character. It also unlocks level caps. You can see right here, let me go and open up her window. Charles is at level 3 promotion. You can see the little ranking right here. Okay, so bronze, silver, I guess this is like platinum, this is gold. I'm not sure why platinum is behind gold. And then you have purple, which is kind of like the super rare one. All right, so 5 levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this typically increases by 10 levels each promotion. So you're going to start at 25. This is going to go to 35, this is going to 45, this is going to 55, 65, and then I believe the last one is 80 off the top of my head, at least on the current version of the game. Okay, and that's basically how promotion works. So every time you promote a character, you're going to get a little bit of a stat boost, but you're also going to get these certain abilities unlocked. I won't go over these in detail, but basically it's a good thing to promote your units, but keep in mind that it does cost them a good amount of resources. Now, Charles that you see right here, she is an R unit, right? So the resources that are needed to promote her are actually very low and minuscule, okay? They're actually very timid. And you can easily promote R units in this game. However, SSR units are a different story, which are like the top tier units in this game, okay? So if I go over to Shining Erica right here, and I asked to promote her, so this is just basically a promotion to level 2, okay? So it's a very weak promote. You notice that the materials required are significantly higher, even though these are different materials, but they are substantial, okay? Because she is the highest tier unit in SSR, at least the current version of the game. So they're going to require more materials. The reason I want to emphasize this is I think some people get a little bit gun shy as new players because they do not want to promote, like, for example, an R-ranked character like Charles in front of me. And I just want to reassure them that you're not really spending that many resources to promote them. So if you find use out of them, if you think that they're a useful unit, go ahead and promote them. Okay, it's not going to cost you that much. All right, go ahead and do that. Don't hoard too much. I do want you to be conservative, but I don't want you to hoard too much to the fact that it's going to become a fault and you're going to go and harm your own progress. All right, so that is promotion in a nutshell. Okay, go ahead and promote units that you need to use. Don't be overly stingy. Just be careful if it's an SSR unit, because you want to make sure you're going to use that unit down the road, because otherwise you're going to be throwing a lot of resources to ultimately nothing. Okay, you can reset a unit, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's go and move on to Awakening, which is next in my guide. So Charles here has reached the max level of Awakening. That's not fun, so I'm going to go to another unit that's going to need to be awoken. Yoon, sure, let's go with Yoon. Here we go. All right. So Awakening is this game's duplication system, meaning that if you pull a dupe or you make a dupe or however you get a dupe unit, you can go ahead and use that dupe in the form of this right here. I believe it's called a badge or a token. I think it's a token, not a shard. Whatever the case, you'll see this number up here of how many dupes of the unit that you have. And once you have that, you can go ahead and awaken the unit. And when you awaken a unit, you'll notice a significant stat boost listed in the window in front of us right now, or my neon pink cursor. Okay, so for Yoon right here, if I go from 3 to 4-star awakening, you'll notice she gets a pretty nice HP bonus, as well as her defense stats are pretty high. Her attack power only goes up a little bit, but that is because in the previous awaken, she got a high boost to attack, and her critical rate goes up a little bit as well. Okay, you click on this little magnifying glass, it'll also show you latent awakening bonuses for that particular rarity. Okay, so this is awakening bonuses for all SR units, not just Yoon. Okay, and they are different depending on the rarity of the unit. Okay, so this is a little bit of a balancing act, because if I go over to, as an example, where is an R unit? R unit that's not fully maxed out. There we go, Q. So if I go and open this window right here, this is different from the one in the written guide, you notice that the bonuses for an R unit are not as nice as the bonuses were for an SR unit. Okay, if you look in the written guide, you'll see that the SR unit has much higher stats. As a matter of fact, if you look at the 5-star ranking for an R unit, you only get 1,000, but for an SR unit, you get 3,000. Okay, and of course, this will change for an SSR unit as well. So Awakening is quite a significant power boost, and the beautiful thing about Awakening, see 5,000 HP increase, very, very nice. The nice thing about Awakening is that it is absolutely, completely free as long as you have a dupe of the unit. Okay, so it costs you 0. I repeat, 0 resources to awaken a unit. As long as you have a dupe of the unit, you can go ahead and awaken them. So there's really no reason why, especially as a new player and an early game player, you should not awaken a unit. Go ahead and do it. Do not be afraid to do so. Okay, just go ahead and do it, especially if it's an R-ranked unit, because you're going to run into a ton of R-ranked units. And then once you have units awoken, especially if they're R-ranked, you're allowing yourself a little bit more flexibility in your team compositions, because some awoken R units are going to carry you in the early game more than you possibly think, because you're going to be focused on the SSR that you have. You're going to be focused on the SRs that you have. But in reality, if you neglect your R units, that's going to hurt you in the early game, especially if you are dealing with 3, 4, 5-star awoken R units versus your 0-star SSR or SR units. So in the written guide, I made a little diagram. Okay, I unfortunately can't show it on screen, but basically I give you a little conversion chart of what you should be looking at in terms of overall power. So briefly, if you have a 0-star SSR, for example, that's going to be equivalent in power to a 1-star, which is a 1-star awoken SR, which is then going to be equivalent to a 3-star R unit. Okay, and of course, you can go backwards. So a 3-star R unit is equivalent to a 0-star SSR. So go ahead and refer to that little diagram. It's a oversimplification and it's a generalization, but it is what it is. I'm just letting you know what is important and reevaluate your units as a new player. Like I said, if you have a 5-star awoken R unit, that's going to get you and bring you further a lot more than a 1-star SSR or, God forbid, a 0-star SSR. Okay, the 5-star R is actually get you much further than the 0-star SSR. Okay, even the super overpowered units. All right, so that's why I wanted to talk about in the guide, and that's why I'm mentioning it here. Please pay attention to that, because I think a lot of new players kind of get trapped in thinking it's only worth to care about R units. SSR units and SR units and not R units. Okay. All right. So then let's go ahead and move on to the next part of my guide. I believe I talk about rarities and the differences between them. I don't think I need to go over this too much. All I will say is this. At the end of the day, no matter how you slice it, SSR units are going to be the units that you're going to use in the end game. Okay? R-ranked units and to some degree SR units are eventually going to be put on the wayside, because SSR units, stat-wise, they just have a higher cap. Okay, so understand this. Realize that, you know, we all start somewhere. We need to go to a place we need to be, meaning that the journey is just as important as the destination. So see SSR units as the destination. See R units and SR units as the journey. That is what gets you to having a full team of SSR units. Now, I mentioned a little bit earlier that derived power or total power is a accumulation of all the stats from a particular unit. That means that a SSR unit will eventually have the highest total power versus an R unit, because it makes sense, right? You put more resources into that particular unit, so obviously you're going to get more derived total power. Also remember that SSR units cost a lot more than R units, so there is a balance to all of this, okay? It's just not just R units are very low and you have to pay for them as well. No, you cost less to promote them. It costs less to do other things with them. So naturally, they're going to have a lower total power. Okay, so that's just Rarity in a nutshell. I don't need to go over this too much, but it is what it is. Like I said, remember to not neglect your R and SR units, because they will get you to the end game. Don't focus too much on the top. As a matter of fact, most of my SSR units, as you can see right here, they're just kind of chilling. They're not really doing much. I had Shining Erica early on, so that's why she's 33, but now she's kind of doing nothing. And the reason being is I need to focus on my SR units, as you can see right here, because they're the ones that are getting a lot stronger. They're carrying me a lot further. And then she's going to have to take a back seat until I get more copies of her. Okay, so I suggest you do the same. All right, let's go and move on to the next section of the guide, which is crafting and summoning units. So on your main homepage right here, go ahead and hit the bottom craft token icon, which is two little scrolls. Go click on that. And that's going to bring you to the crafting interface. So in Shining Maiden, you can actually go ahead and create units from resources. Okay, so let's go and click on the little plus right here. It's going to bring up this little window, and it's going to show you what you need to go ahead and craft a Maiden. Now, in these type of summoning systems, you should be familiar with this from other gacha games, but if this is the first time you're seeing this, there are specific recipes that work more oftentimes than not. Let me go and click on latest record to show you what I'm talking about. So right now, this is a new game. There's not a database, so everything's kind of random. So everyone's just kind of using the max amount of resources that you can see right here. And the max amount of resources for crafting is going to be 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, and 100. This ensures that you have the potential to pull an SSR unit. Okay, and that's all that means. Because if you use max resources, the game is going to randomly draw from a larger pool. I hope that makes sense. Okay, now you see this little cheeky bugger right here. He has some weird numbers on him, right? So 563, 393, 594, and 55. They seem pretty arbitrary. What he is doing is that he's using some type of formula that he might have read somewhere, or he saw it in the past that someone got a pull for a particular unit that used that formula, and he's going to go ahead and try that. So you can go ahead and do that as well. I don't have a formula list. If anyone does have a formula list, I would be more than welcome to post that and amend that to my guide. And I'm going to find it interesting as well to see what's out there. But generally speaking, that's how this system works. Okay. Now you see that Yoon right here, which is an SR unit, this guy got very lucky, and he was able to pull her with the minimum amount of resources, 100, 100, 100, and 10, which is the minimum amount you need. Okay. That is a very lucky draw. So because this person used the minimum amount of resources, let's say an SR pull would have been like 5%, okay? If he would have used all thousands, like let's say 1,000, 1,000, and 100, the pull rate for an SR would have been 25%, and then a pull rate for an SSR would have been like 3%, okay? Even though this person spent max resources and did not get an SR unit or SSR unit, he got an R unit, as you can see right here. And this particular person got a SR unit by using the minimum amount of resources. At the end of the day, crafting is still RNG. It's not a set formula. You're never going to get a 100% complete set formula. You're just going to get greater odds the more resources you put into it. Okay, so I hope I explained that enough for you. You can try any random combination of numbers like this guy did. 492, 755, 599, and 69. Okay. If this was a global launch and released in America, I would probably see nothing but 420, 420, 420, 69 because we're that mature. You can do whatever you want to, okay? That's up to you, but like I said, it's still RNG based. It's just the more resources you put into crafting, the higher the chance that you're going to get a really rare unit, an SSR unit or SR unit, but it's not guaranteed, all right? So all of these particular materials you can farm for at particular boss stages, okay? So I can tell you right now, off the bat, for Rosemary, you can get it in map 1, boss 1, Volkslok. You want to call it Voltstock, but it's Volkslok. You can get that in boss 2, Fairy Song is boss number 3, and Zawensarla, I hope I pronounced that right, is going to be map 4. Okay, you can farm for these seals in those particular maps. And in any boss map, they're also going to drop these particular crafting resources right here. This little weird, I call it slime globe, even though it's not a slime. This little potion bottle and these little coins right here. Oh, I guess their name is right there. Ether Wave, Primal Essence, and Piece of Prophecy. You can get these in those same stages as well, right? So if you're going to be grinding a boss stage, these will drop as well, but at a very low rate. So all of these materials are grindable. What's not grindable is this right here. That is a crafting token. You see that little blue box right there? This is not craftable, and I believe I did not write this in the written guide. So unfortunately, this is somewhat of a limited resource. The reason why I say somewhat is because you can actually purchase a set amount of these crafting boxes every day. You can get them from PvP rewards. You can get them from login rewards. You can also get them from dismantling Maiden. So let me go and click on this right here. Let's go and click on the research tab. And this is not covered in the written guide, guys. Okay, I did not cover this in the written guide. So if you're watching the video right now and still listening to me, this is unique to you guys. You got to get some extra information. Now, if you click on the research tab, that's once again upper right-hand window. Go and click on those little bars and go and click on research right here. It's going to bring you to this particular window. If I had spare maidens to dismantle, I can go ahead and dismantle them right here. Okay, and what dismantling does is that it allows you to get a couple of resources back, but it also has a very small chance of giving you a crafting token, which is that little thing that we needed a while ago to actually craft a maiden. Okay, so it behooves you to try and craft, and even if you get units that you don't want to get, don't worry about it, because you're always going to get something back in return. You will get kind of a little bit of pity in return. There's no reason why you should not be crafting and crafting nonstop, especially as a new player, because you need units. I will advise you, however, that you might want to wait off and grind as much as you can so that you have a little bit more resources to work with, so that you're not inputting the bare minimum. Okay, so I'm glad I reopened this window. You can see this person right here got an SSR unit. He got a Shining Naja, so congratulations to this person. And he used the maximum amount of resources, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, and 100, okay? If you are going to be using the bare amount of resources, 10, 10, 10, and, sorry, 100, 100, 100, and 10, you have a chance of getting SR units. You have no chance of getting SSR units off the top of my head using the minimum amount. But it's not guaranteed, and it's a very, very low chance. I would advise you against that unless you really just want to start getting a bunch of R-ranked units, which is okay, and that's a valid strategy too. But like I said, crafting tokens or crafting essence, whatever that thing is called, that you need to craft units, they're a little bit on the rarer side. So I wouldn't just throw them away and just put 100, 100, 110 all the time, if that makes any sense to you, okay? These are a little bit rare. So treat them semi-preciously, okay? You do get them every day if you do PvP and your dailies and all that stuff, but not as much. They're a little bit harder to come by. So as a new player, be a little bit conservative with them. I would recommend middle of the road. Go 500, 500, 550. Okay, so 50 of these little seals and then 500 of each resource. That's a good middle ground. That should give you a much better chance of getting an SR unit. And I think that might be the bare minimum to get an SSR unit, but I might be wrong on that. Okay, I've only seen SSRs pulled with a maximum amount of resources, which is 1,000 of everything and 100 of these particular seals. But that is the crafting system. Let's go and talk about summoning units, which is very, very easy to do. So let's go and go back to the homepage, okay? So summoning units in this game, you're going to go and click on that little recruit icon on the top. That's going to bring you to this window right here. And you're going to have different types of summoning. So this is the whale summoning, I call it, because you can only buy it with Comet and 2,700 Comet to boot, which is pretty dang expensive. This is a very special banner for people who pay real money because the odds are much nicer, and you're generally going to always have a chance of getting a really, really rare unit. We don't care about that because I'm assuming you're a free-to-play player. So the next banner that you see right here, this is a unit-specific banner. On this particular banner, there are pity rates, and you're more likely to get this particular unit if you pull an SSR, if that makes any sense to you, right? So if you click on the little rate icon or button right here, it's going to go and show you the drop rates for all the particular units in this banner. And you'll notice that for this one, Murphy and Shining Mitsuki have a higher rate of dropping, okay? So that is exclusive to this particular banner, all right? And it costs you 2,700 meteors to pull. For this one, we have the generic banner here. Every single day, you get one free pull by watching an ad, okay? You can also use Meteor to pull from this banner, but this is a generic banner. You can go and click on it, and it will give you the rates for all the units in here. Little bit of a pro tip, but I did mention this in the written guide, so congratulations to you people who are watching this video right now. There is no official tier list that I know of in this game, okay? And any tier lists that I have found are made by random people who don't really back up their comments or statements. They just kind of say, here's my tier list, and that's it, and they go away. So in this game, on the generic banner, you will notice that the SSR units have different rates. Why do they have different rates? I am going to assume and theorycraft that they are either A, unique units in upcoming banners, or B, and more likely the case, the rare SSR units are the better and stronger units. Does that make sense to you? So Shining Yulia is at 0.22%, which is a pretty low amount. But Shining Erica is at 0.06%. Okay, that's a drastic difference. Okay, if you do some quick math, that's almost 4 times difference in the probability of you pulling a Shining Erica using this banner versus a Shining Yulia. So what does that mean? Theoretically, the developers know something we don't, and they put Erica on a higher pedestal than Yulia. Food for thought, right? So there you go. If you're looking for a tier list, I use the in-games built-in. I use this in quotation marks. You can't see it. I'm making a gesture with my hands. That this is probably the tier list right here, at least by the developers. Okay? I could be completely wrong. They could be completely wrong. I don't know. But there you go. All right? You want a tier list? There you go. It's baked into the pool. All right? All right. So that is summoning units, guys. That's crafting and summoning. Hopefully everything made sense. You have to use Meteor to get there. I would advise you doing that. Against doing that because I'd rather you spend stamina. Okay, so let's go on to the meat and potatoes of this guide, optimizing as a new player. In this section, we're going to be talking about should you re-roll and who to roll for. Now, I make a little blurb on the written guide saying that I, once again, don't want to tell you how to play the game or how to have fun. And I always advise that we roll for waifus first, and then we roll for effective units afterward. And why is the philosophical reason I advise you guys to do this? The reason why I advise you guys to do this is because if you do not like looking at the units that you have, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot her name. Is that Selena? Selena, girl, is that your name? I'm so sorry. There are a lot of girls I have to keep names of in my head and different games I play. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a dirty man. There we go. Sandrea. Okay, there you go. I did start with the S. So I like looking at Sandrea. Okay, she's not a very good unit. As a matter of fact, I don't think I leveled her up. But I like looking at her, and I'm happy that I have her. And she happens to be an R-rank unit, so win-win for me, okay? But if there's a unit that you like looking at thematically or for whatever other reason, go ahead and try to roll for that unit first. Because one of the hardest things to do as a new player in any gacha game is to keep interest in that game. And the reason I say this is because there's so much competition out there. There's so many other games that you could be playing. If you don't have a unit that you like looking at thematically or for whatever other reason, you're not really going to stay in that game. Okay, so I stress always, please pull for the unit that you like looking at or the theme of the unit that you like, okay? Afterward, you can worry about min-maxing, okay? So always have at least one or a few units that you like so you can post them as like your wallpaper, kind of like how I'm putting Sandrea right now as my wallpaper, right? She's just kind of there. She's always going to greet me. She's kind of like my secretary or clerk in this game. But I'm never really going to use her in combat, and that's fine, okay? I'm going to use other units in combat. I just want her to be on the home screen because she's eye candy, at least to me. Okay, she, you know, I just like the way she thematically look. I think she's cool. She's on like a cybernetic broom. I don't know if you noticed that. That broom is not like traditional. It's kind of like this weird robot rocket launcher type of broom. All right. So I say the same thing to you guys here as well. Now, if you need to really pull at my brain and say like, okay, but I do kind of want to min-max a bit, I would say Sonya is a good choice. Either Shining Sonya or SR Sonya, which is right here, okay? The reason why I say Sonya is because she's a particularly strong unit early on. I'm not sure how she'll do in endgame, but early on she's really good because she has very, very high single target damage, okay? And in the early game, one of the biggest obstacles you're going to come across is boss battles. Okay, bosses are going to bop you, okay? And the reason why they bop you is because they're going to outdamage your tank or your healers, early on, because like I said, early on, you don't have a lot of resources to work with. Your team is low level. Your equipment's probably not up to par. So bosses are just going to basically keep wailing on it, and they like doing AoE damage and high single target damage. So it really kind of becomes a DPS race to some degree, in that you need to kill the boss before they ultimately whittle your team down and kill you. Okay, this is early on. Later on, not so much. But also, high single target DPS in this game to me is a little bit more important than AoE, because getting rid of an enemy enemy unit, I should say, not only, you know, makes the team weaker, but it also reduces the turn length. Okay, so in terms of grinding, if you constantly AoE a team, if the team is still alive, they're going to take their individual turns, and that can actually prolong your grinding. Whereas if you have a lot of strong single target attackers, the game likes single targeting a single unit, at least for the most part. The AI is kind of dumb in this game, unfortunately. But if you're able to kill off that unit, it makes the turn quicker, and therefore your grinding is ultimately faster. So all units that provide extreme single target DPS, I would advise you look into whomever that is and try to roll for that particular unit. Now, the reason why I like Sonya is that she's a Rosemary unit, okay? Basically, she belongs to the initial school, and you automatically get her at the start of the game anyway, okay? Because if I remember off the top of my head, you get Yune, Karen, Sonya, and Erica as starting units anyway. So if you're able to pull an extra copy of her, you're going to get her to Awakening 1-star, and Awakening 1-star is already a significant boost in power. Any unit in this game, let me go and click on Agnes right here as an example. If you're able to awaken them 1-star, look at that attack power. Okay, she more than doubles her attack power with one single awakening. Okay, that helps so much to make a unit that much better. And for Sonya, who is a really good single target attacker, that's a very good thing. Now, Shining Sonya is even more damaging than regular Sonya, and that's why I said if you can get a Shining Sonya, that would be great. For me, my first pull was actually a Shining Erica, and that's why I have her to 1-star. And the reason I have her to 1-star is the game actually gives you a free Shining Erica as an achievement. Okay, so I kind of lucked out there. I got a SSR unit that already has 1-star awakening, which makes her pretty strong. She's actually on my 3v3 PvP team, but she's not on my main team because I need an extra star for her to start pushing. Okay, so that is re-rolling and who to roll for. That is my own personal opinion. Let's go and move on to the next subject, which I cover in the written guide, which is how many units you realistically need. Okay, so let me go and the formation. Let's go and manage formation. So this is currently my pushing team. I write in the guide your 4 units that are the highest level, highest rank, and when I say rank, I mean awakening, you know, most promoted and best equipped team. That is going to be, in quotation marks, the pushing team. The pushing team's job is to go ahead and clear as much of the story as possible, because not only do you get rewards for clearing the story, you unlock additional maps for you to grind on, and grinding is the key in this game. You get a lot of resources from grinding. Okay, so your pushing team is always going to be your 4 most elite units that you have right now. Okay, I use elite loosely, but you get what I'm trying to say. Okay, they can be composed of any random units that you have leveled up. It doesn't really matter, but that's what the pushing team entails. Now, in other game modes out there, you're going to need more than 4 units. Okay, so let's go and talk about those. So I head on over to the battle screen right here, and I click on Labyrinth Exploration, for example. This is actually a kind of like an unlimited amount of units, meaning that as you go higher and higher in the labyrinth, your units may get knocked out or die, basically, and then you can go ahead and replace them on the fly as you approach the next floor. Okay, so don't ever be afraid of leveling up a unit in your pushing team and then they kind of get outdated. They still will have a second life in the labyrinth. Okay, they'll also have second life in searching, but searching you don't really require a lot of units. I'll go and talk about that in just a moment. But like I said, don't feel too bad if you level up a unit and then they get pushed out of your pushing team, ironically enough. Okay, they'll find more life in this particular game mode, and more importantly, they'll find more life in PvP as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Okay, but let's go and show you search right now. If I click on a search, it's going to ask me to send a particular unit. Okay, and there's a little bit of an income rate that you see right there, depending on the strength of the team that you send out. And I didn't talk about this in the written guide. I'm talking about this in the video. So once again, congratulations to you. So if I send my highest strength unit, which is complete overkill, you notice that I immediately max out the income rate at 300%. Okay, I don't need to do that. All right, I can send my lowest power unit, which the game considers this particular unit. And if I send her out by herself, you'll see that the income rate is 141%. So like I said, if you level up a unit and eventually they get pushed out, they will find second life in this game through other means. Okay, so let's say Sandrea, who is my current clerk and secretary. Okay, she's a 4-star level 25, very, very modest character. If I go ahead and send her out, she too can go ahead and get the max rate. Okay, which is a good thing. See, so she has life not only as my secretary, but also as a search fodder unit, which I can go and send her out to go search for resources in this game. Okay, so I'm just trying to reinforce the fact that do not be afraid to level up units, and even if they get pushed out of your alpha team, your pushing team, they will find life elsewhere. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. I'm trying to, okay, power leveling. Okay, so this is a fun topic. So one of the most important things in this game is the ability to power level, and I'm going to go and show you how to do this right now. And this is, let me see, what is the hardest map that I have? Is this the hardest map I have? No, is 5-1 the hardest map that I've completed? I don't think so. No, this is not it. Sorry, guys. Hang with me here. I think 2-1 would be a good example of this. Okay, cool. All right. So, in the written guide, I talk about power leveling and why it is very not good or stupid for you guys to level up your units in an even way. I do not want you guys to level up your units in an even way. I want you guys to go ahead and level up your units as much as possible with the pushing team as much as possible. Your alpha dogs, in so that when you need to level up other units, you can power level them by doing this little trick. Okay, so this is, let me go into team 1. Team 1 is my pushing team. This is my primary team, right? Let's say I clear a very hard map with them, okay, and I'm done. As long as I have this right here, which are clear tickets, I can go ahead and power level units. And how can I do that? So what I am going to do is I'm going to click on this formation button right here. I'm going to go and change the team setup. Okay, so this is my team number 2. All right, so let's go and remove these girls because they are part of my alpha team. And for the heck of it, let's go ahead and add, I don't know, what couple units I want to know. Let's go add Q. Sure. Let's add Heidi. Why not? And let's add Vela. Okay, let's add her in. Back right there. Can I do that? No. That. Fine. Vivian, can you go there? Yes. Okay. Sorry, Q. You know what, Q? I'm gonna bring you back because I want you to come in here. There we go. Okay, cool. So all my units are level 1. I'm gonna go and click on this change formation button, and I'm gonna go and pick a formation that I do not have leveled up. Okay, in this case happens to be strong trust. Okay, yes, looks good. So all my units are level 1. My formation is level 1. They're strong trust. I'm gonna go and click on this, go back to this window, and now the game's going to change it. Okay, so all my units are level 1. My formation is level 1. Look at the magic that is about to happen. I talked about this briefly in the guide. I'm gonna show you this in the video. If I click on this clear ticket right here, the game will always give me a victory. It never ever will make you lose, ever. I want to repeat that for emphasis. You will never ever lose by using a clear ticket, okay? Because of this reason, you can go ahead and bring your weakest units and a brand new formation onto a map that you've already beaten, and you can go ahead and use a clear ticket. And when you do that, you will gain a lot of experience for those particular characters because they're level 1, and you will also get experience for the formation that you chose. And remember, these units would have died on that map. There is no way that these units with their formation were able to beat that map if I played the game out manually. Okay? Only through auto-resolve and a clear ticket were they allowed to beat the map. Okay? And in this one, as far as auto-resolve goes, total power doesn't even mean anything. The game doesn't care. Okay? It does not care. So, I also get resources for clearing because I did clear the map after all. Now, if I go back to a formation, and I go to change formation, well, let me go to team 2 because that's the team we were using at. Strong trust has gone up to level 5. Okay, isn't that cool? So I leveled up all my units to level 12. I leveled up the formation skill to level 5. Okay, and I did that with a clear ticket. Amazing stuff, right? So this is the reason why you do not want to, as a new player, this is one of the biggest newbie traps, to go ahead and constantly switch out your team members and try to level them up like you would do in other games. In traditional other games, you would bring 2 strong units and like 2 weak units, or 3 strong units and 2 weak units, however the limit cap is in that particular game. And then you would level them up, right? You basically act as like bodyguards for the weaker units, and then the stronger units would level them up. They get a little bit of experience, but the weaker units get a lot of experience, and then Bob's your uncle. In this game, that's not necessary with this trick. The only thing that you need are clear tickets, okay? And you can get clear tickets from a variety of ways. You can get them from doing your dailies in PvP. You can get them from quest rewards, but more importantly, you are guaranteed 30 of them per day. And I did say that correctly, 30 of them per day if you do all of your searches. Okay, so you see right here in the bottom, it says searches available 30 out of 30. If you do all of your searches for that day, you will get guaranteed 30 tickets, because every time you complete a search, you're guaranteed one clear ticket. Okay, so per day, you can get 30 of these. All right. These add up over time. The more diligent you are, the more that you will stockpile your clear tickets, and the more you'll be able to power level units later on. Okay. And remember, this trick that I just showed you, it's more efficient if you clear a harder map. And the only way you're going to clear a harder map is if you have a pushing team, which I mentioned in my guide, that's going to allow you to clear more story content. Okay? So I hope that might make sense, and why you should not level units thinly or spread them out. Go ahead and level 4 units as best of your ability as you can, and then go ahead and use the clear tickets to go ahead and power level other units when you're ready to do so, and for whatever reason you want to. Okay? It's just a click of a button, and they get full experience, and you can do that for formations as well. All right. So let's go and move on to the Newbie Trap Store. I'm briefly going to cover this and why I call it the Newbie Trap Store. Let's go and go here. So this is the Newbie Trap Store. It's called the Random Shop. And why do I call it the Newbie Trap Store? Everything in this store can be farmed, okay? Otherwise, you can go ahead and buy it for gold here. Now, remember what I said about gold and enchanting equipment. You are in a gold deficit as a new player. You will always be on a gold deficit, because you need to equip so many units, and at the bare minimum, you need to equip your main team, which means that's 8 pieces of gear that you need to go to plus 30, and 8 pieces of gear that you need to enhance and enchant to give them a prefix and a suffix. All of that costs an insurmountable amount of gold that you need to save up, which you will not have as a new player, even if you're grinding your hearts out for the first week, maybe even first 2 weeks, okay? So because of that reason, this is a newbie trap, because like I said, everything here can be farmed for. You can farm for all of the stuff except for these SSR shards. But these SSR shards, look at the prices. 246,000 for 1 piece, and you need 40 of these pieces to go ahead and make a unit. Now, a long-term player might advise you and say, hey, you know what? You should start buying these early, because, you know, after a X amount of days, you're going to have 40 pieces, and then you're going to be really happy that you were able to get that unit. I personally disagree, because if you buy 4 pieces of this unit, that's $1 million. That's 1 million gold for 4 of these pieces. You need 40 of them put together to make 1 unit. Do the math. How much gold that costs. I could be doing a lot more with that gold. So this is where I vehemently disagree and would say this is end game content. This is for end game players who are swimming in gold, and every day they go on, every hour, it updates every hour, and they go ahead and buy pieces. Okay? That's fine. You're an end game player. You have a ton of gold. For a new player, this is a newbie trap. Do not buy anything in this store if you can help it. It's a trap. You can use your money for much, much better stuff. Ignore all of this. You can farm for it. You can get it somewhere else, okay? Do not buy anything in this store. It's crap. If you're going to buy actual stuff, use real money. I talk about this at the end of the guide. You know, go buy stuff like this, okay? Help out the developers and actually get good stuff out of it. Do not buy anything in the random shop. Okay. So I touched upon searching and formations. This is the next part of the guide in the written guide. I can't believe this video is about to go over an hour, but it is what it is, because I'm only going to make this video once. So it is that. We're going to talk about searching and formations. So searching here, as you can see on my screen, I have cleared 4 zones. Every time you clear a zone, you unlock the search for it, okay? And every time you search, you're going to get a random amount of materials, and the amount of materials that you get back would be dependent on the strength of the units that you send out. Now, there is absolutely no reason why you cannot get a full 300% every single time you do a search. So I'm just letting you know off the top of my head, there's no reason why you should not be doing this, because it's very easy to accomplish that. And searching is a very valuable way early on to get a lot of rare resources, specifically those clear tickets. Those are the best rewards that you can get, but various other resources as well. So it would really behoove you to go ahead and make sure you have some type of timer and that you keep and constantly search all the time, okay? The more you search, the more clear tickets you get, the more stuff you get. Please search every day. And not only does that give you the rewards, it will upgrade these 4 little parameters right here. Now, these are search bonuses, and you can kind of see them as like long-term things, because the more you search, the more these level up individually. And every day you get to receive a little bonus from these search parameters, depending on the level that it has upgraded to the previous day. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So every day, at the end of it, the game will tabulate how many searches you did, what experience you got for those particular searches, and then it will upgrade these things accordingly. And then the next day, you will get the reward for the tabulation at the end of the previous day. Okay, so basically at the end of yesterday, this became a level 11, 14, 10, and 14 respectively. At least the rewards for them are. All right, so that's basically the search thing. Okay, do it as much as possible. Clear more story maps so that way it's less tedious. When you're starting off as a new player, Zone 1 and Zone 2 is probably the only search you're going to have open. So you're going to have to check back every hour. And the first day, don't be too sad if you can't get all your searches clear. You're probably realistically going to get like 12 to 15 done. If you're hardcore, you maybe get 20. But it's going to be very taxing for you to constantly check back on the game. Okay, so do what you can. All right. And get as many searches in as possible. We're going to go and move on to formations and talk about that. So I'm going to click on the formation window and bring up my formation, and I'm going to go and talk about formations here by changing them. Okay, so in the written guide, I talk about 2 formations that you should look at. That is Pain of Domination and Rich One's Dream. Why are these 2 important? So Pain of Domination is a automatic debuff. As you can see right here, it says enemy attack power negative whatever % you currently have the level is. So mine's at 29. It's almost maxed out. I need one more level. I believe a 30 is maxed out, but I forgot. But in any case, you notice that it automatically will apply negative 20.88% to my opponents. Okay? Why is this a good thing? When you're fighting boss characters in the game, boss characters are typically single units. And because they're single units, they have very, very high stats on them. So anything that will debuff a boss is a good thing because it's a higher ratio of stats that you're removing. And I hope this makes sense. So for example, if your character, let's say Charles here, has 1,000 attack. Okay? If I added a debuff to her at 20%, then she would lose 200 attack and she would be down to 800 attack. Makes sense, right? But if I'm fighting a boss, what happens if the boss has 5,000 attack? See where I'm going with this? So if I use Pain of Domination, I'm going to drop his attack from 5,000 to 4,000, remove 20%. And that's going to help my team survive significantly longer because it's a greater percentage of stat that is removed. So Pain of Domination is a really good stat down for bosses, okay? And that's why I recommend that you use it, because early on as a new character, bosses are going to be a very big problem for you. As a matter of fact, I think the crab boss is what most new players are probably going to get bopped at. They're going to get stomped on. And that's because he's doing so much attack to you, your team just would not be able to survive, even if you put in a pretty good healer and a tank. So in PvP, this also works really well if you're fighting against teams who happen to be gankers, okay? And ganking is just a term for where they try to kill off your team as quickly as possible. They're basically all glass cannons, but they focus on speed and attack. If you have Pain of Domination, you're more likely to survive an initial round if they get an attack round off first. So if they go first and you have Pain of Domination on, you might get lucky enough to survive. And so one of your units might survive enough so they don't get killed outright and one-shotted. And that's why I like Pain of Domination. It's a really good one to level up, okay? Moving on to the second recommendation, that's Rich One's Dream. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tired here talking because I've been talking for an hour. Rich One's Dream is pretty self-explanatory. Ally additional gold plus whatever % its current level is. So mine right now is 27.22. You're going to be grinding a lot in Shining Maiden. So because you're grinding a lot, you want as much gold as possible, because remember, gold is a huge bottleneck to progress in this particular game. As a matter of fact, you can see I'm pretty broke right now. So because you want to level this up and you're going to be grinding 24/7, at least if you want to get anywhere in this game, every additional gold helps. And although it doesn't seem like much at first, it will add up over time. Okay, if you're getting an additional 300, 500, 1,000 gold per map, that adds up over time, guys. It does. It adds up a lot. Okay, considering how much grinding you're doing in this game. We're talking about you're grinding 24/7. You're leaving your emulator on, or your phone on, your tablet, or whatever. You're grinding nonstop. That additional gold will add up. Okay, and the next thing you know, you're going to get 300,000. You're going to be getting 3 million extra. I'm not kidding. That's how much it adds up over time as you continue to grind. Okay, so that's why I recommend Rich One Stream for general grinding. If you're going to be grinding generally, use Rich One's Dream. Okay, I never use a combat-based formation when I'm grinding. Now, you could use Bonds of Mine. Mine's at level 17, but this is because this is what I started off with for additional experience. I leave that up to you. I really don't care if my units are a little bit stronger. There could be an argument to be made that if my units are stronger, I can push farther. If I can push farther, I get more money. There's that argument to be made. I just find that the additional experience just doesn't outweigh the additional gold. I think the gold is the better investment, especially considering that it's a huge barrier to progress early on. Okay, so that's with formations. I want you to level those two as a new player. They will help you out in the long run. Let's go and move on to PvP. Okay, so in this one, I talk about PvP rewards, at least in the written guide, and why they are important. So PvP in Shining Maiden is kind of jank. I'm not gonna lie to you folks. It's a little bit weird. Okay, here's the reasons why. PvP in this game, they do have a ranking reward. So you see my ranking right there? I'm pretty low right now, and there's a reason for that. Okay, I'll talk about it in just a moment. I have a ranking of 998, which is at gold tier, which is pretty low. And the reason why I have such a low ranking is because a lot of characters have beat my defense team, and they have dropped my ranking. Okay. Now the ranking reward, if I go and click on this shield icon, the game will show you what your ranking reward every week will give you. And I want you to soak this in for a moment, because you'll notice that the rewards seem very generous at first. You're like, wow, if I get, Platinum 5, I get 820 meteor and 90 shields or crests, right? That sounds pretty cool. The thing with PvP in Shining Maiden is that you get greater rewards from doing your dailies. These are participation dailies, by the way. You don't have to win or lose. You will get these as long as you fight 5 times. And you're going to notice these chests right here. So during a week, which is, I guess, like one mini season, you have the opportunity of getting these chests. Now, if I click on these chests, look what happens. This is the 15 chest. 300 meteor, 10 advanced skills, 90 crests. That's a lot, guys. That is a lot. What if I click on the 20 chest? 600 meteor, 3 ultimate skill enhancement cubes, 120 crests. Okay, let's go and click on the big mama jama. 900 meteor, 3 ultimate skill enhancement boxes, and 200 crests. So if I get 30 victories that week, I get all of that. Okay, and there was a 5 box that I didn't show you guys because I already got it, but that was there too. I can only get these from victories. I cannot get them anywhere else. So what does this mean? In the guide, I talk about rank tanking and why it is very important in Shining Maiden. The reason why rank tanking is very important in this particular PvP mode is that you want victories, because per day, as you can see, at least for 3v3, sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice, you only get 5 chances. 5, see that combat icons right there? Now you can replenish them with meteor, but we don't want to do that, right? Because then we're chumps and we're spending money to make money, but not a lot. We're losing money on return. So you are given 5 free chances a day. It is very important that you win those, because if you win those, you will eventually get up to these reward chests right here. And these reward chests give you a lot of good stuff. You don't believe me? Not only do you get a lot of meteor and these very rare materials right here, but you get PvP crests. If I click on the 3v3 arena shop, look at all the juicy items that you can buy here. See that? Token crafts. Remember how I told you how rare these were? You can get 4 of them for 40. That is a bargain. Clear tickets. 10 of them for 100. Remember how I told you how rare those are? You can buy them at the PvP shop. And I already bought this, but you see that? That's a pool ticket. 10 pool tickets, by the way, for the price of 400, which like I said, is a pretty good bargain, considering that if you get all the rewards from the week, you are going to get that many crests, and you'll be able to afford that. So because the rewards for doing your participation and winning are so great in Shining Maiden, your ranking is a demerit. It's a problem for you, because the higher your rank, the harder the opponents that you're going to face. And we don't want hard opponents. We want chumps. We want jobbers. We want busters. We want really weak opponents. And the reason why we want really weak opponents is because we want to beat them. Okay? So I could probably beat this 167,000 unit right now. I don't care. I'm going to go ahead and re-roll and hopefully get a auto clear battle. Let me see if this game's going to give me one. No, it's not going to give me one. But I re-rolled, and you'll notice that I got 2 really weak opponents, right? 141,000, 149,000. Why did I get weak opponents? I got weak opponents because my ranking is low. Okay? That's the reason why I got these weak opponents. See this 234 monster right here? I'm not going to fight that dude. You know why I'm not going to fight that dude? Because if I fight him and I lose, which I am inevitably going to lose probably, I'm not going to get a victory. And if I lose my victory, I lose my chance, my participation for that day. And that's a bad thing because I want to win. I want to get these rewards. Okay? So unfortunately, Shining Maiden's PvP is kind of jank in that you want to be lower rank. Okay? It kind of rewards you for being crap. And only the people at the very, very top, we're talking like the super top, basically like the master level, it's really kind of worth it to be there. But then these are shark-infested waters. And I shouldn't say shark-infested waters. These are whale-infested waters. These are whale shark-infested waters. Okay? So there you go. It's unfortunate. It is how it is. It's true for 1v1 as well. However, 3v3 is where the juicy stuff is. 1v1 PvP rewards are really not that good. Okay? They have victory rewards as well. And this is the last reward, as you can see. It's pretty decent. These are pretty good. But they're not as good as 3v3. 3v3 is where the good stuff is at. And if I go and click on the arena shop, you can see right here that even the stuff that's available to purchase here, it's not that great. It's nowhere near as good as the 3v3 shops. 3v3 is really where it's at. Now, remember earlier on in the guide, I talked about derived total power. You can see that my team's total power right now is 91,000. So the game, regardless of team composition, doesn't care. 91,000 is significantly greater than 62,000. The game is like, this guy is a chump compared to you. That may not be true. It may not be true at all. This guy at 62,000 might give me a run for my money, especially if he's doing those annoying troll teams where he has like 111 and like a level 60 unit, and that level 60 unit literally like out tanks all of your units. Like it's literally immune to damage because its defense rating is so high, and it just slowly kills your team off. I could possibly lose this battle, and by the way, he's elite. He's an elite player. See, so I may not want to fight him because he's elite. Okay. Even though this guy might give you a red for money, it doesn't matter. The game automatically calculated total power. I have 91 total power. He's 62 total power. I can auto fight him. Boom. The game gives me a victory. You win. Game's like, you win. Your power is so much stronger. There you go. And I received my reward. You see that? So that's why I say PvP in this game is a little jank in that not only does it sometimes follow total power in which you can just automatically win and beat your opponent, it also rewards you for being a lower rank. I'd rather be a lower rank and get weaker units than be a higher rank and fight tougher opponents because I don't get a win victory. And the ranking reward is not as good as your daily achievements as well as the weekly victory chests. So it is what it is. I don't care much for PvP, and this game is a little bit jank too. You want to do it? Go ahead. Have fun. Okay? All right. So we're moving on to the final part of my guide here, and I am glad that I am doing so because this video is almost going an hour and a half long. Let's talk about where to grind. So I'm very pragmatic when it comes to this advice. As a new player, where should you grind? It's very simple. You should grind the highest map that you possibly can with the team that you currently have for whatever resource you need. It sounds very painfully obvious, but the reason why I say this is because there's no secret hotspot to grind in this game as far as I know of. There are probably going to be veteran players that say, well, that's not necessarily true. If you go to X-X, it's really fast. And we did the math, and you're 17.2 seconds faster, yada, yada. Fantastic. Great. Let me know in the comments. I'll add it to my guide. But in general, the hardest map that you can complete that has the resources that you need it's usually going to be the best place to grind as a new player. Failing that, whatever map that you can complete the absolute quickest, and I mean the quickest, okay? Time yourself. Get out your watch, get out your phone, whatever. People don't have watches these days. Get out your phone, get out your app, do whatever you need to do. Time yourself. How fast can you complete a map with your current team? And if you can get that, for example, like this master mode boss, right? If I can complete this boss battle in like under 90 seconds, then I'm going to be grinding here, right? Even if it's not necessarily the resources that I want, the reason being is that it's going to give me gold, which is your major bottleneck, and it's going to give my team experience. And the amount of stamina you use is usually correlated to how fast you're progressing in terms of getting experience in gold. I hope that makes sense, okay? Because stages that cost more stamina will give you more experience in gold, but if they take longer to do, it's faster for you to use less stamina and clear the map faster. So if it takes you 5 minutes to clear an 8 stamina map, for example, but it takes you 90 seconds to clear a 4 stamina map, you could do the math, right? Combined, that's 3 minutes for 2 times clearing a map. You're going to get way more resources, and gold and experience is roughly going to be the same. It's not going to be as good, but roughly the same. So I'd rather you do the quicker map, okay? So that's my advice on where you should be grinding as a new player. Do not pick a map that you can barely finish, and it's going to take you like 5 minutes to do. Because I've seen some complaints about some people playing this game or trying it out and saying like, man, it takes 5 minutes to beat a map. Well, it takes 5 minutes to beat a map because you chose a map that your team can barely handle. Okay, if you chose an easier map, you would have grinded faster, then you would have leveled up quicker, and then you could have went back to that same map and then do it in 3 minutes because your team's stronger now. Okay, like they skipped the logic part and they decided to grind a map that was way too hard for them. Okay, they can barely handle it. So that's my advice to you. Okay, speed is key. The more stamina you can use, usually that's how I judge efficiency. Okay, now my original intent for this video was to talk about the frequently asked questions, but I'm running way over time. I did not expect this video to go this long. I mean, at most it was going to be like an hour and like 10 minutes. I'm going to hit 90 minutes, an hour and a half, guys. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this content. I'm going to go and skip all of that, and I'm just going to go and close off with my closing thoughts and comments on Shining Maiden as a whole. So this is my mini impressions, my mini review after playing this game for about 2 weeks and over 2 different accounts. Okay, here are my thoughts and comments on this. Shining Maiden to me is a side game. The reason why I consider it a side game is because it requires a lot of hands-off grinding, and in reality there's not really much you can do with it because of that reason. It's enjoyable when I can manipulate stuff, but most of the time I'm just grinding for resources. As well, there aren't really that many maidens in this game, unfortunately. And those are the characters that you can collect. So if I go and click on Character Encyclopedia right here, you notice that at least in the current version of the game, there are only 64 characters in total. And a lot of these characters are dupes of one another. And what I mean by dupes is that they're not necessarily one-to-one the same. But you see right here Shining Ringo, which is a red-headed cat girl. If I move on down, and where is she? You'll see here that she's also in R form as well. Okay, and that's Ringo. Okay, so Shining Ringo and Ringo. So you get a lot of repeat characters in an already small amount of characters. And that to me is a demerit, right? Obviously. It's cool if you like a character thematically and you get to see a more evolved version of them. But variety is the spice of life, and I much more rather have variety, right? Because you have different unique characters. So that hurts the game a little bit to potential players, because I think there are some players out there that just like playing hero collectors and collecting the heroes. This game just has a relatively small roster, so that's kind of a mark against it. This game has pretty quality voice acting, I'll give it that, and the artwork that it does have is pretty nice. I say so in the FAQ, I'll address it here. I do feel the character designs are a little bit on the tame side, but I'm not going to hold it against the game. It does reach a more broader audience. And for the more risque characters, characters that are a little bit more, showing skin and a little bit more bold, I do like the designs overall. They are a little bit on the, like I said, more universal side. There aren't really any extremes or fetishes here, and I'm going to go and label that as a neutral. You can go either way with that. Maybe you want to play a game that doesn't look like you're playing a bunch of weirdos. But at the same time, someone like me who's played a lot of games, I kind of like the weird aspect of characters. In this game, they played a little bit on the safe side. So that's kind of a neutral point. I'm okay with it, but it is what it is. You know, I would prefer characters that are just a little bit more out there. But yeah, that's all I have to say on that. As far as, is this game free-to-play friendly? This is one of the major reasons why I decided to talk about this game and promote it on my channel, even though it's a side game, an SHG, which I call a side hustle game. This particular game, for me, it really gives you a lot of stuff if you're willing to work for it. Not a lot of games out there do that. And I know the argument for some folks is that they rather have a game that's short on time. They rather go log on every day and play 10 or 20 minutes. I would say, where's the feeling of accomplishment in that? But we all subjectively have different viewpoints on what makes a game fun and what gives it worth, right? So for me, I like the fact that I have the freedom in this game to grind as much as I want to. Even though it's a stamina-based system, I can tell you right now, you're going to work really hard to burn that stamina. Whereas in other games, I can literally go in and do a daily 5 to 10 minutes and then be on my way. I feel like the more time I spend with this game, the more I develop a relationship with it. Even though it's not the best game out there, at least in my opinion, and I'm not saying that as a slight against the developers, the writers, the artists for this game. I feel like it could use some more work, but it's a solid game, and there's a foundation to it. So much that I'm recommending it, right? At least I'm talking about it on my YouTube channel. But at the same time, it allows you to do what you want to do on your own terms, is what I'm trying to get at. And if you work hard, this account, guys, is 9 days old. What you see in front of me is 9 days old. Ask any veteran player out there, ask anyone that plays the game a good amount. This is pretty decent for a 9-day-old account. Okay, here are my characters. Here are their strengths. You know, I can show you my backpack, which is right here. This is all my resources. Okay, and there you go. And the reason why I'm showing this is, like, for veteran players, they'd be like, yeah, that's pretty decent for a guy who started in 9 days. They're like, you know, I would probably get the nod, and they would probably say that's pretty impressive. And I'm completely free to play. You can kind of see that from my comment. As a matter of fact, when I opened up the store earlier, you can saw that the packages were still available, because if I had bought any of those packages, they would have been grayed out, because there's only one per account. So I've not spent a single penny on this game so far, and I have progressed quite a bit. Okay, which makes this game pretty free to play friendly. But once again, I grinded a lot. I put energy and effort into it a lot. Some people out there cannot do this, and I understand that. If you are someone that does not want to grind, if you are someone that just wants to kind of wham bam, thank you ma'am, go in 20 minutes and leave, that's fine. I get it, because you have like 10 games to play. This is not the game for you. Shining Maiden is not the game for you. For everyone else, there's a lot of free to play to be had here, but you're going to have to work for it. Okay? But you can get far. You can get the things that you want. And that is why, at the end of the day, I really do like this game for that reason. It rewards dedication. Not necessarily hard work, not necessarily skill, and there's a little bit of luck involved. It is a gacha game after all, but it still does reward you for putting in the time. I have never felt like a gigantic black hole has opened up and me wasting time in this game for very little reward back. I have tested many games recently, as a fact, where I put in a good solid 10 days of testing the game, and I felt like I wasted my time with it, because ultimately I saw where it was going nowhere. Whereas in this game right now, right after this video ends and I'm done talking to you guys, I'm going to go back to grinding, because there's that much stuff I need to do. Okay. All right. So that is my mini impressions, my mini review. Shining Maiden, I hope it does well. I hope the developers add more content to it. I especially hope they add more characters to it. And I hope they're a little bit more adventurous, because they are competing with a lot of monsters out there in this hero collector category. You're going to need something for you guys to stand out from the crowd. That being said, I do believe it's a very free-to-play friendly game, but you have to put in work. And more importantly, you have to know what you're doing. And that's why I hope my guide today, both written, audio, and visual, helped you guys out with Shining Maiden. Okay? This is the only video that I'm going to make for the game. Okay? Please don't ask me to make another one. I'm sorry. I don't want to be a community figure or anything like that. If the developer decides to sponsor me one day, who knows, I'll come back, but that's a sponsorship and that's a sponsored video and that's a different story, different time and place. As of for now, I've done my good deed for the world. I've done my good deed for players who want to play this game and are interested in it, and that is it, okay? If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the YouTube comment section. I'll do my best to go and answer them, but remember, I don't consider myself an authority figure. I always consider myself a helpful friend and an enthusiast and also a student, and I'm learning with you guys as well, okay? I don't know everything. I also want to learn with you guys as well. I want to learn tips and tricks and other tactics, but in order for me to do so, I have to be humble and I have to make sure to listen to other folks as well. So if you're a veteran player, like I said, give me some advice, shoot it my way. I'll take it into consideration. I'll also add it to the guide if I see it has merit and other people should know about it, okay? That is it, guys, for Shining Maiden. As always, shout-outs to myself and my YouTube channel. If you like what you saw today, if all of this stuff was helpful, I hope it was, feel free to leave a subscribe and a like because it does help optics on my YouTube channel. Also, visit my website, boxinacorner.net. I update it seldomly, but I do update it. It is a place that I hoard all of my other thoughts and comments because I am not a one-trick pony. I have various other interests out there, so I hope you find them interesting as well. And the final thing I will note is that please check out the community tab on my YouTube channel. I actually post mini updates there, and I talk about various other things that are often game related, okay? So if you want more of me on a smaller dosage rather than watching an hour-and-a-half video, feel free to head on over to the community tab and check me out there, okay? And hopefully you'll find something that's also interesting. All right, guys, I'm done. I'm going to go gargle some honey tea because my voice is shot. Like I said, hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.